welcome into AHS Countdown. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, joined by my co-hosts, Charlie McGowan and Andrew Faircloth. And today we got a great game between the Auburn High Tigers and the Jaguars. This is a very big game for Auburn. Could be 5-0 on the season. Auburn coming off a big win at Enterprise. And Omar Mapson had 5 touchdowns. What an incredible game by him. And I just want to highlight my player profile, Alex Gibston from last week. He did great. He had 2 interceptions, so I definitely called that one.
Yeah, you're on a roll last week.
Yeah, so hopefully, you guys' player profiles do good this week against Jag. But now we're going to get into the opponent introduction. The Jaguars are 0-3 and have only scored 12 points on offense this season, and I think they've given up 148. So not very good for this Jag team. And what do y'all think this Jag team needs to do to get a huge upset at Auburn?
So for the offensive side, this Jag team just, like you said, 12 points on the year. They've been playing some tough competition, but Auburn is no different. Coming into Doug Sanford, they're going to have to just play like absolutely lights out, no mistakes at all. This Auburn defense is going to probably smother them in most aspects of their offense stuff. I mean, they got to get their passing game going, and their rushing attack hasn't been great either. So really just need to, if they want a chance to win, they got to hit on every cylinder possible on offense.
And Andrew, for the defense.
Yeah, Jag's defense coming into this one, allowing 148 points on the season. There's not much to talk about with this Jag defense. They give up a lot of points. They played tough competition. They gave up about 52 to Opelika. They played a tough Hewitt-Trustwell team. They're coming against an electric Auburn High offense, so hopefully they can figure it out tomorrow night.
And now we're going to get into Auburn's season. Auburn is 4-0 this season, and like I mentioned, coming off a big win against the Enterprise Wildcats last week, 53-22. And, I mean, they've been great on both sides of the ball. And what do you guys think Auburn needs to do to win this game?
For the offensive side, like you said, they've been absolutely just lighting it up, averaging 45.5 points per game. So they've been doing a really good job on the ground through their rushing attack through Omar Mapson and a little help from Charlie Ward as well. And their passing attack's also been doing a really good job through the electric trio, Peyton Plott, Joshua Askew, and Antonio Welch. So, their offense has been incredible, kind of a surprise for us this year as they were a good offense last year, but it has not been this, explosive this year. So I think if they just keep what they had going last week, as you saw, they put up 53 points on a pretty good Enterprise defense. If they could keep doing that, I think they'll walk out of Doug Sanford with a pretty easy win.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Auburn's defense coming in this one, only giving up 7 touchdowns through 16 quarters of play, led by senior leaders Mike Gunn, Liberty commit, Caleb Pitts, Appalachian State commit. This is a very strong defense. They're facing a Jag offense who's only put up 12 points through 3 football games. Jags, their points coming from a kick return and a 1 touchdown against Opelika's backups in the late minutes of the 4th quarter. So this Auburn High defense, this shouldn't be much of a challenge for this. So I look for the Tigers to take control of this game and dominate on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers, not really any mistakes last week. I mean, there were some in the first half that we could highlight. And honestly, I mean, going into implications of the game now, if Auburn wins this game, they'll be 5-0 on the season and could possibly still make that run towards the state championship because, upcoming games, Moody, at Moody, and then obviously the homecoming game with Smith Station. And then you got Central after there. Or it might be reversed order. I think I'm wrong. But, yeah, and I mean, if Jag wins this game, they could turn their season around. 0-3 start right now, not very good for Jag. And what were some things you guys didn't see from Auburn last week that was very good?
Well, for last week, they played a really good defense in Enterprise. Their secondary with the likes of Eric Winters and some company in the secondary there. I mean, just made a really hard time on Jackson Kilgore. And honestly, they locked down Peyton Plott and Joshua Askew. I think they had a point of emphasis on locking down this wide receiving core. And this week, if they can open up that passing game again, I think that would be huge.
Yeah, on the defense side of the ball, the Auburn High defense only gave up around 22 points against Enterprise.
Yeah. 1
coming off a kick return, so you can't really fault the defense on that one. Another one coming into the late minutes of the game against a youthful Auburn lineup. So your starting lineup only gave up 1 touchdown through 3.5 quarters of play. So not many miscues from this Auburn High defense last Friday. just try to keep it more clean. There was a couple penalties they had, a couple pass interferences, but they overall stopped this Enterprise offense.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Tigers, can get their defense like it was last week, where they can get those stops and possibly win this game. But now we're going to move into the keys to the game segment. And guys, there are some X factors in this game. And what do you guys think those X factors are for Auburn to win this game tonight?
For the offense, I think, like I was just mentioning, if this passing attack gets rolling again, it's going to be hard for the Jag to really just hang on with this Tiger offense. I like to highlight a few players from last game. Omar Mabson had 24 carries on 163 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, 5 all-purpose touchdowns. Charlie Ward had 6 carries, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And for the wide receiving core, it was a tough defense they went against, but Peyton Plott still had 75 yards on 6 receptions, 173 all-purpose yards. He's really dangerous on the return game. Antonio Welch had a nice game with 3 receptions and 35 yards. So, I mean, this offense is just it's you could go anywhere. Jackson Kilgore, also I didn't mention him, 234 yards on 20 completions and a touchdown as well. So, I mean, if they can get the passing attack going like they did last week, I think they'll be fine.
A couple of highlights to point out for this Auburn High defense. Last game against Enterprise, Alex Ganston had 6 tackles and 2 interceptions. Both interceptions coming off pass deflections. One pass deflection was Caleb Pitts on the defensive line. The other pass deflection coming off of Greg Williams in the second level of the defense. The key to this game, I look for the Tigers to really shut down the shifty Jag wide receiver core. Like I mentioned earlier, this Jag offense has 1 touchdown from offensive scrimmage, and that was on a busted coverage play. So this Jag team comes in with shifty, athletic wide receivers, and I look for this Auburn High defense trying to shut down that athleticism.
Yeah, hopefully the Tigers can get a win tonight. And, we got some of those players you mentioned last week as player profiles, and now we are going to move into the player profile segment. And this is where we highlight one player on offense and defense. And, guys, who are your player profiles tonight?
Yeah, last week I went with Peyton Plott, and he had a pretty big game. And as wide receiver, he had 173 all-purpose yards, like I mentioned earlier. So big game from him. But I'm going to go with another wide receiver, Antonio Welch. We just had him on the podcast. So he's a really good kid, and he put up a nice nice stat line last week. 3 receptions and 35 yards. Really key player in this wide receiver core in this offense. I look for him to make some plays tonight.
Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, I'd like to highlight Greg Williams. It's kind of a low undercover name because this Auburn High defense is led by two Division I commits in Mike Gunn and Caleb Pitts.
Yeah.
But Greg Williams has really led this defense on the low this year. He has 22 tackles on the season. Kind of a new face to this defensive system. He transferred in from Booker T. Washington over there in Tuskegee, and he's made a big impact on the season, having 7 tackles against Enterprise. So I look for him to have a big game in this one.
Yeah.
Well, now with that, we don't go away because we're going to go into the Friday night lineup, and this is where we pick the best games around the region.
When his idea of game night has you feeling played, or your teacher's pet has become unleashed. And inseparable has become intolerable. Visit boystown.org/parenting. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, or guardian of a toddler, teen, or someone in between, we've got parenting guides, articles, videos, tools, and quick tips from experts backed by over 100 years of experience. Get your parenting going in the right direction with Boys Town, saving children and healing families.
Hello everyone and welcome back to AHS Countdown, and we're now getting ready for the Friday night lineup. This is where we pick the best games around the region. And guys, our first game we have tonight is Carver at Dothan, and who do you guys think is going to win?
Yeah, this is actually probably the biggest game, in my opinion, over the state of Alabama this week. Dothan just barely losing to Central last week. That would have been huge for Auburn individually, but Carver also a super talented team. They come in undefeated against this Dothan team, but I am going to go with Carver, even though Dothan, I mean, took Central down to the wire. I think Carver's a really talented team. I'm really scared about Auburn going to Carver this year or later in this season. So I think Carver's going to handle this one.
Yeah, Charlie, like you mentioned before, Dothan dropping a close one against the defending state champions and the Central Red Devils at home last weekend. Carver coming in this one undefeated, a very talented team led by running back Alabama commit Anthony Rogers. I'd look for this one to also be a close one, but Dothan coming into this one at home, coming off a tough loss, back-to-back tough losses against Enterprise and Central. I look for Dothan to take an upset here at home.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you, Andrew. I'm going to go with Dothan here, taking the upset at home. Because last week, Dothan did really impress me with the way they were able to play against Central. And I honestly think Dothan can, use that high-powered offense that they have that's been so good these past few weeks, but just can't get it done at the end. I think they're going to be able to get it done here at the end. So I say Dothan wins this one. Now the next game, Auburn played this team last week. They played Enterprise last week, and then later they will play Central. So both these teams in region. This is going to be a great matchup. It is Enterprise Wildcats at the Central Red Devils. Central coming off of a close one last week, and Enterprise obviously getting blown out by the Auburn Tigers. Who you guys got in this one?
Yeah, another great matchup. Enterprise, like you said, Auburn faced them last week, and Central just a powerhouse in the state of Alabama. So this one will be intriguing. Enterprise kind of coming off of a really tough loss for them. Auburn handling them at Enterprise, and Central coming by a just barely winning at Dothan. I think Central is going to take this one pretty handily.
Yeah, Charlie. There's a lot of things to break down for this game. You got an Enterprise team coming off a really hard loss for them at home, losing over 30 points to a team that you were able to upset on the road last year. Enterprise, who had a high expectations for the year, they're led by Zion Grady, Ohio State commit. Mm-hmm. They're led by, he caused a lot of problems for that Auburn High offense. But Central coming into this one, they're a disciplined team. I feel like Coach Nix is really going to get onto his boys after a close game that was unexpectedly close against Dothan. So I think Central's going to handle this one.
Yeah, I'd say Central gets a win here. I do think this Enterprise defense can hold them a little bit, but I said the Red Devils are able to get the job done at home, especially with, Dalen Upshaw and, just a great Central offense there. And I think Central just gets the job done at home and takes a win. Well, now the next game we're going to get into is probably, y'all did say before we did this that this game could be very good with Prattville, who is undefeated, and Hoover, who's had a very surprising season. And guys, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, like you said, just another intriguing matchup. Really good slate this week, by the way. Just want to point that out. But Prattville at Hoover, really intriguing game. Prattville actually a really talented team, undefeated so far. Hoover also really talented, coming off a win against Hewitt last week.
Yes.
Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second. But yeah, Hoover coming off a win last week. It's nice to see Hoover winning last week after kind of a hiccup against Spain Park. It's nice to see them bounce back after that. But I think Hoover handles their business at home, and yeah.
Going into this matchup, these are two historically dominant teams. Prattville, they haven't been good as of late, but back in 2010, 2008, the early 2000s, this was a dominant football program in the state. Hoover, man, they've been dominant throughout their whole history of their program. Prattville is a very improved team. They're coming off a rough season last year, but they're a very improved team. I think this one will be surprisingly close. But since Hoover's at home, I'll take Hoover in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with y'all here. I'd say Hoover takes this one here at home. Hoover's just had a very impressive season so far, and the history behind Hoover football has just been incredible, what they've done the past few years. And I think the Buccaneers are going to take this one and improve to 4-1 on the season. Next game we are picking will also be down by the coast, but this team, Mary G. Montgomery, last year, kind of a Cinderella story of what they did last year. And, Foley now has just been great the past few years. So who do you guys have in this Foley and MGM matchup?
Yeah, like you said, last year, MGM coming off an undefeated regular season. They're a really talented team, and also Foley, known for having nice talent. Another Auburn wide receiver who was a senior there last year at Foley, Perry Thompson. So, they're a talented team. I think MGM storms into Foley and gets the win.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, Charlie. MGM, like we mentioned, coming off a Final Four loss to Central last year. They were very dominant throughout region play, going undefeated. I like to see them go into Foley and take a dominant win.
Yeah, I'm actually going to disagree with y'all here. I'm going to say Foley gets the upset at home against MGM. I'm going to say Foley just has a great offense. I mean, I've seen some of their stats on Max Preps. They've just had a great offense so far this season. I think they're going to continue that against MGM, and they're going to take the win at home. So Foley gets the win at home and improves to 4-1 on the season. And now, the game we've all been waiting for. It is Jag at Auburn. And guys, who do you guys got in this matchup at Duck Sanford Stadium?
Yeah, Auburn coming off a huge win last week against Enterprise. Jag trying to bounce back from last week. So this is an intriguing matchup. I say Auburn running away with it in the first half. I'm not going to lie to you. This Auburn offense will be too much to handle. And, and their defense, honestly. They just looked really like a complete team last week against Enterprise, and I see them getting the win.
Yeah, Charles, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Auburn takes control of this one early and really dominates it from all levels of football. Jag coming off a tough loss against Opelika, again, beat 60-52. Auburn coming off a high against Enterprise. I look for the Tigers to take control of this one early and really take it home.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with y'all here. This Jag team, just for playing a team like Auburn, the talent levels are very different. So I honestly think Auburn takes this one in a big win at Duck Sanford Stadium and improves to 5-0. But with that, that's going to do it for AHS Countdown. And I hope you guys enjoy the game. We will see you at halftime.